everyone, welcome to another educational video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. Thanks for clicking on my video today. I truly appreciate your time and attention. If you like what you see, you like the tips, you like the advice, please subscribe to my YouTube channel right now because that means a lot to me and it helps keep these videos coming at you free on YouTube 24/7. Okay, so make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel today. Today's video is a quick tips video. We're going to take a quick look at what mesh abrader is, what it looks like, and how to use it very quickly here because I know I have addressed this and we have talked about mesh abrading and mesh abrader. We have discussed it in other videos, but I never made a standalone video about it, in particular, using a paste type mesh abrader. So we're going to take a quick look at that today in the washout booth. Okay, so in order to abrade your mesh on the screen, you're going to need a brush of some kind. You might use a scrubby pad of some kind. This one's a little used, but scrubby pad, you want a clean one for mesh preparation, okay? And always use the same one for mesh preparation. That's pretty important. So a brush or scrubby pad, I do sell these at Catspit, screenprintsupply.com, of course, along with SaatiChem Direct Prep 1, which is our mesh abrader, and this is kind of like a paste. Okay, so first of all, why would we want to abrade the mesh on a screen? And as I have mentioned this before, we only abrade mesh once when the screen is brand new. So when you order your brand new screens from Catspit, screenprintsupply.com, okay, you get your screens and you take them out of the box. We need to abrade the mesh because the polyester mesh fibers, are slick. They're like threads. Okay, so the fiber itself is slick and smooth, and there's nothing really for the emulsion to bite onto. So mesh abrader actually has a little bit of like micro grit or particulates like sand or whatever it might be, glass or volcanic pumice, type stuff like that. I don't know what they use for the grit actually, but it's a very fine grit and it will abrade or rough up the mesh ever so slightly so that when you do your mesh preparation and then let the screen dry and coat it with emulsion, the emulsion will be able to bite onto the thread fibers of the polyester mesh, which when they are new are slick and smooth. Okay, so does that make sense? So we only do this once when the screens are brand new. This is SaatiChem Direct Prep 1. It's a mesh abrader. I carry it in quarts on my e-commerce site, and I just mixed it up a little bit. I shook it, so it's got a few bubbles in there, but you can see it's kind of this light green, pasty liquid. It's, it's not very thick, but it is kind of pasty. It's almost like a really, really thin car wax of sorts. A very thin one that you might use with a compound buffer or something like that, So let's apply it to the screen and show you how to abrade your mesh. All right, the first thing you're gonna do when abrading the mesh on a brand new screen is wet down the screen. You're gonna only need garden hose pressure, cold water, tap water pressure. Wet your brush, okay? And make sure the screen is very wet, okay? And, obviously the benefits of mesh abrading is, the result is that the emulsion is going to adhere a lot better to the mesh fibers. So what's that going to do actually? Well, it's going to make it a lot easier to, wash out your stencil and especially get detail on higher mesh counts or any mesh count for that matter, because the emulsion will be able to bite onto the mesh because we've abraded it a little bit and the fibers are no longer slick. Okay, so once you have a wet brush, wet screen, we're going to dab a little bit, onto the brush, and we can spread it around a little bit. And then basically proceed to lather up the mesh abrader. It'll, most mesh abraders like the SaatiChem Direct Prep 1 will suds up a little bit. And you want to work this in on both sides of the screen nicely, maybe a minute. Okay, so we flip it around and work this side as well. You want to pay particular attention to the sweet spot, of course, and any area that you believe you're going to have your stencil near, of course. You can use straight motions, you can use circular motions. That part doesn't really matter. Okay, and once you've worked it in well enough, try not to do any knuckle bashing while you're in the washout booth. All right, so once you've done that, you can proceed to rinse the screen down with the garden hose because, wash your brush, rinse your brush out, and then you can rinse down the screen with the garden hose, because normally what I recommend after this is to go ahead and proceed to use degreaser or mesh prep, even though some of the mesh abraders will be considered to be an all-in-one product, meaning they have degreaser in them. But I like to run some mesh preparation degreaser right immediately following this, just to make sure I've washed out all the little micro grit particulates. Okay, and that's it. That's the completion of the mesh abrading or mesh abrasion. And at this point, you can proceed to go to degreasing or mesh preparation if you like, or if you're comfortable with using an all-in-one product and going straight to emulsion coating, you can do that too. Of course, after the screen has dried. We would have to let this screen dry first, of course, right, before we coat it with emulsion. But generally, it's my recommendation to go ahead and use a little mesh prep after this, just to make sure there's no micro grit caught between the overlapping mesh fibers or anything like that. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video about abrading your mesh, and I hope you found it to be useful in your screen printing endeavors. Please remember to rate, thumbs up, comment below, and most importantly, if you like my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel today. And of course, check out catspitscreenprintsupply.com if you need screen printing equipment or supplies. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.